Hello everybody, welcome back to Eileen's Craft Nook. So today we are going to be playing with temporary tattoos and some micas and some UV resin. So what I've done is I have this um, cutting board uh, mold, and I've already poured a thin layer of clear 2-part resin, and I let it dry overnight. This is the tattoo I want to use. Pretty, isn't it? So I remembered to remove the top sheet. Make sure you do that. Ask me how I know. If you don't, tattoo will end up on that sheet rather than on your mold. So what I've done is I've just put a couple pieces of tape on it because I want to place it, and then I just want to turn the mold over to make sure it's where I want it to be. Just be very careful. You don't want to dislodge your first layer in there because when you put your second layer in, it would sink underneath. So just don't, to be very gentle. So I'm looking at that, and I think that is good. Now what I'm going to do is I've wet a piece of paper towel, and I'm just going to wet the tattoo. I'm going to remove that tape so it gets wet all over. I just want to be gentle with it. Now my paper towel is not drippy wet, but it is pretty damp. And I'm just pressing down. Just want to make sure it's even. And we're going to try that once more. So I just picked up a quarter, and I'm seeing if it's going to slide, which it's not. So we're going to take our chances because I do believe it has been on there long enough. And I'm just slowly lifting it. Perfect. Okay. So I can see there are air bubbles in here, and that's normal for the tattoos. Gosh, that's nice. So I'm just going to use the same paper towel, and I'm going to lightly dab at those air bubbles. Now, if they're not coming out, the other thing you can do is you can take a little pin and kind of poke it into the air bubble. Just be very careful that you don't touch your mold. All you're doing is letting the air out of the bubble. Now, I wouldn't tend to rub these a lot because, I mean, these came from Temu. I don't think they're the highest quality. They are just temporary tattoos. So I'd be worried that if I was rubbing it, trying to get the air bubbles to move, that I may rip the tattoo. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to you could try daubing them and moving them out to the side that way. And actually it's looking pretty good. So I'm just going to let this dry a bit so I can better see. I don't see any large air bubbles, but any that remain that I do see, I'm just going to grab a pin, and I'm going to just poke a little hole just so that the air has a place to go. Now, I do want this to dry completely before I move on to the next part of the process. So I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll get started with our micas and our UV resin. Okay, so I have my tattoo adhered, and I have some micas for the colors of the flowers I want to use. I got some new resin the other day, and it came with some micas and included yellow, which I didn't have before. So I'm going to do use that. I have a couple of greens for my leaves. So what we're going to do to get started is I'm going to be mixing my micas up with UV resin. Let's see if I can get you guys some better light. And I'm going to be, in essence, painting my picture. Sorry, I have a hair. Now, this would be beautiful just as is, and you could put your second coat on there, and what would show is what's on the other side. And that would be beautiful, and I actually thought about doing that, but I just want to make it a little more interesting, and so I'm going to paint it. Resin, UV resin, and I'm just going to put some into the pot. Now, as I mentioned, you're painting a picture here, so you can go ahead and, like, I have a couple different colors of green. I'm going to be using, I have, a paintbrush here, and one of these little cotton topped Q-tip things. I got this out just in case I want to try this. Whatever works best depending on the area you're working on. Now you'll need your UV light because you will need to cure this. So I'm just going to use my little stick for mixing. Now I don't want this to be, I'm okay if this is, once you're done putting it on, it's still a little bit see-through, almost window glassy. Because it still needs to cure. So you still need it to, it can't be completely opaque or it won't cure with the UV light. I'm going to add a little bit more UV resin to that. Okay. And we'll bring our picture back over. I do apologize that you're going to get a little bit of glare, but I need the light to see what I'm doing. Okay, and I think I'll start with my little paintbrush, and I marked it so that I put the green tape on there, so when I'm done today, I'll know that I use this for the UV resin. Alright, and then let me bring you in a bit. There we go. And then I'm just going to essentially just paint my picture. Now, you can see where I don't care if I'm painting over the dark colors, because any place that's showing black in this picture, it's going to show, because the picture comes up from the other side, I'm not impacting that detail when I paint over it. It's my first time using this coaster. Not my first time using the tattoo painting with the UV resin and the tattoos, but I love this method because I can't draw, and with this I don't have to know how to draw, because there's such a big variety of tattoos. The temporary tattoos you can get on Amazon, you can get on Temu, AliExpress, whatever your preferred place is, and they're really inexpensive. if you get your resin in a spot you don't want it, just use a Q-tip to wipe it off. UV resin won't cure until you put it under the light. Once you put it under the light, then you're stuck with that color where it ended up. But like if I get a little bit here on the flower, I'm just going to use my Q-tip to clean it up. Now I am going to mix up the pot with the lighter green as well, and I'm going to come in and just kind of give it some highlights. Alright, I mixed up some lighter green, and I'm just going to use this little cotton tipped one, and I'm just going to come in and do some highlighting on the edge of the leaves. Now, if I highlight on this side on this leaf, then I would want to do on the same side. So as if the light was shining on one side, that's where you'd want to do your highlights. All right, I'm going to continue on, and I'm going to get these leaves done up. And then I'm going to mix up some colors for my flowers, and I'll be back with you guys when I get to that point. Okay, so I got painting and watching YouTube and forgot to come back to the video. So what I've gotten so far is I did the green. Now it looks blobby on this side, but don't forget, you're not seeing it from the side, you're seeing it from the other. And I got to start on doing some of the yellow. So I thought I'd do yellow flower. I want to do some of the stamens yellow. So I just wanted to show you guys where I was. I thought yellow in a couple of the flowers would give it a nice pop of color. What I found is when I'm painting, I tend to lean on this edge, and it's kind of unsealed it a bit. So I hope that doesn't be a problem when I go to put my second layer in. But you can see by the color of the mold where it's unsealed, so I just kind of pressed it back in. But we'll wait and see. When you're painting and you don't really pay attention to what your arms are doing. Okay, so I was thinking about which other flower I want yellow, and I think I might do this one here at the top. Move the mold down a bit so that the light's not shining on you guys. And I don't make up very much. It's easy enough to make more, but you really don't use much at all. Use very little UV resin for this. And I did cure the green. I've cured from the top, as well as I picked up the mold and stuck my UV light underneath and cured it from the bottom as well. So I'm just using, I found this works pretty good. Now this does look gold to me. It'd be interesting to see once I see it from the other side if it looks gold or if it looks yellow. I mean, the package said yellow. I'm not even 100% sure that's flower down in there, but it's flower now. I do find this very relaxing to sit and choose your colors and then paint your picture. I have a wedding coming up in August, and if this turns out, this is going to be, I don't know if it's going to be a shower gift or the wedding gift. I haven't decided yet. And I know a lot of, I'd probably give some money as well. I know that a lot nowadays aren't really, younger couples prefer money to help pay for the wedding and everything else that goes along with that. So expensive nowadays for a wedding compared to what it was when I got married. Okay, I'm just going to stand up because I do have a little bit of difficulty seeing the, the flower. Now my green is dry, so it doesn't matter if I touch the green. That's why I decided to cure in between colors, so it wouldn't matter. I think that's part of the other flower. It was very difficult to tell. I'm going to make it yellow. Okay, so there's that one. Now, should I do another yellow flower? I'll stick with the two. You know what? I think maybe this one should be yellow. And that. Okay, so once again, I'm going to continue on painting. I'm going to finish up these yellows, and then I'm moving on to more pinks and reds. I'll be back. Okay, so I've done the yellow, and I did like a copper in the centers of the yellow ones, and then a little bit with the yellow and the copper in the center of the others. I've mixed up a light pink and a darker pink. This one's just called pink, and this one's called rose red. And we're going to start with, we're going to do our larger flowers. So, you guys can see. You can see me get started, and then now, as I mentioned earlier, these colors are cured, right? I can touch these, it's not hurting them. So if my pinks touch them, that's fine. So with the wedding season coming up, love to hear anybody who's making anything in resin for the couples that you're going to the wedding for, what you're making them. I would imagine that the ocean pours are pretty popular still. I've tried my hand at them. I still need practice. I picked up some wood what do you call them? Like this, cutting boards. I don't know why that left my head. Uh, wood cutting boards, and they were on sale. They were regular $15, and they were marked down to $5. So I picked up a few because I want to practice using those. I figure I could practice on those, and not spending a lot on the materials to do the ocean pour. I'm trying, guys. I know when I watch back my videos, I say the word a lot, or and I'm trying to be cognizant of that. It's a hard habit to break. But if it annoys you, I'm working on it. I'm trying not to say it as much. But it is going to slip out. I know that. Probably after I've been doing this, if I'm still doing this a year from now, it will be much better. Get more comfortable talking on camera. I know I'm talking to an audience, but I am sitting here by myself in this room. Now I'm not going right at the center because I want to use the lighter pink. I want to try to kind of highlight them, play around a bit, see what it's like. If you haven't tried this method, I highly encourage you to give it a shot. It is relaxing. I find it relaxing. In between, when I turn the camera on, I just turn YouTube on and watch other people do resin projects or listen to them do them while I'm doing this. I watched Pouring Your Heart Out today. She made a turtle and she filled it with Nemo-like fish. It was very cute. She has talent. But you know what? She's been doing it for quite a while. I'd love to know how to make molds the way she does. I have one of her molds. I haven't used it yet. I need to make my video. I bought one of her coasters with the fine live edge. I just haven't poured it. That video will be coming up soon though. I haven't decided. I think I'm going to try a petal pour. Okay, so you can see how I'm doing these flowers. Just kind of going to try to blend that in a bit. And then I'm going to continue on. Some of these I'll do the darker in the center and maybe trim on the outside with a little bit of the lighter. But I'm just going to stick to these two colors to do the rest of the flowers. And I'm going to, once I do these two bottom ones, I'm going to give it a cure, and then I'll move over to the top. That way I don't have to worry about if I stick my hand in there or my arm or something when I'm moving around. And I'll be back to show you once the flowers are done. Okay, so apparently my microphone wasn't working when I got to this section, so I'm just going to do a voiceover. So as you can see, I actually decided to add some purples in. I did a couple, like a darker purple and a lighter purple. Add a little bit of black to his nose and some pink to the tufts of his ears and a little bit of pink for his tongue. And then I went ahead and cured it on both sides. I cured about 5 minutes per side using my UV light. So what we're going to need to do now is I've mixed up my background, and with this I used white mica with a little bit of my iridescent mica, and because I want my tiger to be white. So where the tiger's showing, and you can see that blue through it from the bottom, that will show white from the other side once I pour it and we take it out. And you'll see all the other details from the other side. So let's go ahead and we'll just pour this in slowly so we're not introducing too many bubbles. I'm pleased with the colors. I think they're going to be really nice together. Now I don't think I have quite enough resin. I will probably end up mixing up a second smaller batch to put over top. Alright, I'm just going to get it's all scraped out and spread into the mold. I'm going to use my long neck lighter to get some bubbles out, and once I do that I'll also spray it with my alcohol, my 99% alcohol, which will also help loosen the surface so that bubbles can come up. And then I'll be back to show you guys once it's ready to be unmolded. All right, so it is cured and ready to take out. I wanted to show you guys, I was checking on it yesterday, and I use a tent, like a food tent, and I accidentally stuck the edge of it in in the mold, so that was unfortunate. But I use a little food tent to put over top of it to keep the debris out while it's drying. So I know I'm going to have some trimming to do here because of that little accident you can see, but that's okay. I'm going to let's go ahead and see what this looks like. It's exciting because this I had planned on making a gift, so I hope it turns out nice. Yeah, you can see where that's going to be easy enough on this to trim up. Okay. All right, guys, you ready? Let's take a look. Wow, what do you think? That is gorgeous. I know there's a little bit of a shine from the light, but what do you think? I think my mold might have a little bit of a mark in it if I was to look, but overall, super pleased with this. All right. So leave me a note in the comments. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, it'd be a great time to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.